So one of many tools that we use within a DevOps or software development environment is GitHub. I'm going to be using mine as an example and also show you a production environment sort of page and profile which has a couple of good softwares on, which I have featured in other videos in my red teaming side. So GitHub predominantly is a version control site. There are other options. So Git is about code version control and contributing and committing and pushing and pulling towards your own code, but also contributing towards others. And ultimately, through GitHub, you can contribute towards open source code development and software, which is really good, and a sort of a really good community to get a part of, whether you're learning or whether you're a seasoned developer. So within, for example, my GitHub, I've got some examples of the code that I've Python especially that I've used during my learning, and also, as I said, there are other versions. So an example of a sort of production environment level, you might be using BitBucket, which is a code repository that people can add towards, comment, like, and even sort of contribute to it too. Going back to sort of my profile and sort of structure that I've got for my GitHub, not the biggest, not the most popular, but I'm just using it as a sort of good example. So I've got my profile set up here, and what you can see is there's multiple repositories, and repositories is where projects are generally kept, so or a theme. So within my repositories, obviously I've got the Cyber Skills course as a whole repository. I've got a few websites on the go, and I've got some my DevOps environment and stuff that I've worked on, and I've got my learning. So if I sort of go onto my learning repository, I've got some of the Python scripts that I've learned, and what the good bit when you click repository is GitHub's intelligence, so it can mainly tell what sort of I've been developing in. So Java there, that's formed on Jupyter Notebook, but also it picks up when it was last edited, so really my learning repository. As you can see, a lot of the projects were last picked up and edited 2 years ago. Naughty me, but obviously this is when sort of the Cyber Skills course took off. So going back through my learning, each of the pages have a README or a sort of home or index page. You can highly customize these, and I'll show you sort of one which I have done. You can include links, you can include sort of additional details and details of version control, and sort of even sort of mention contributors and link towards their profiles. So, and then you can, within these, you can hold your source code itself. So if I go to a for loop, for example, so it's just a an example of a for loop. So this is basically counting on a list on a for loop. So you can edit your code and commit from that. You can invite people to look at and contribute. So it's really good. GitHub is good for storage. You can even, as I said, you can make static websites on it, but you can use it as storage for your code. But also, if it's effectively an online profile for your own software development project. So if you're using it as part of a CV or to push yourself forward, it's good public profile, really. So moving on, just to show you a better example of sort of a GitHub page, if I go back to my course page, so my README file here is a little bit more sort of seasoned. I've got sort of a few more links on it. So with these links all jump within the YouTube and also internally within GitHub. And then, so that's quite a good README page broken down, and it's quite clear. I don't obviously have any contributors because at the minute all the work's myself, but it can there tell what sort of programming languages I'm using. Last time I edited it, so 2 weeks ago, obviously with this video it will be more. I can show you sort of the Python script I've been working on, and then also additionally sort of the Cloud Ansible and the YAML files I've been working with in that. So you create these pages, and it can identify, and then you can run them from there. I'll show you an example of quite a seasoned profile. So this is DeWalt, so this is under the TCM umbrella. There's a really good tool called Pimp My Kali, which is a good way you can get this link. You can git it, or you can git install or get from a Kali box, and then install the SH, so that's a shell script, and then install this full program and customize your Kali box. So this is really finely detailed and sort of really well logged for all the versions, and people can tell what's the changes each step. And if you're using the previous version, you can see what the improvements are. And additionally for this, you can also tell what sort of MD5 or the hash of the files are before you download them, to make sure you are getting the authentic one. I'm going to show you the sort of the push and pull process. So GitHub Desktop is quite a good bit of software which uses either your local hard drive to push up to the GitHub cloud itself, or your profile, so you got to link it in. And I like using Visual Studio Code. These are both Microsoft tools, so GitHub is actually owned by Microsoft, so is Visual Studio Code. But effectively, if I'm going to drop into a page which I've been editing for Visual Studio Code, it's just very much a test site. So if I change this and add a few values within the page itself and save it, so that's going to save to save to the file. The GitHub should notice the GitHub page. That. So the GitHub page should notice the changes, so it's just refreshing now. So it's noticed my change, and then what I can do is simply commit that to main. So effectively that's talking to my repo for basically a little project that I've got on the go at the minute, and then that's uploading it to my repository now. So if I quickly go and jump on that repository, if I go to the page, yeah, no, I don't think that's it. I think this is talking to a separate account. You can merge accounts, but you can also hold static web pages, as I said. So don't worry about that. Cool, that it's talking to another repo anyway. So that's basically the introduction to GitHub itself. Git is a version control, as I said, and there are other platforms available, but GitHub is the one I primarily use, sort of my own projects, and then you can even use that and navigate and then use that later from live, create your programs from there. Brilliant, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.